excited to dive into it and see what it was all about. And to be honest, I had the hardest time finishing this book. There was so many times within this book that I really did truly think that I was going to DNF it. And I just kept going, kept pushing, and in the end, I didn't really care for it. I am glad that I finished it, but I just did not care for it. The writing was very different than like what I'm used to reading, and the story and like the plot jumped around a lot and went kind of like back and forth, and there also is like a major plot twist within this book that I was not expecting, and it kind of took me by surprise, where I had to like stop and go back a couple pages like to make sure that I was like reading it correctly. And I just didn't love that about it. And then in the end, it was a little bit predictable once the little plot twist came along. You kind of understand like where the book is going. I really didn't feel this book on like a deeper level like I thought that I was going to, which makes me really sad. I don't even remember what I rated it, but yeah, I didn't like it at all, and it was just so hard for me to finish this book. The next physical book that I read was The Perfect Parage by Geneva Rose. When I did my book haul with this book in it, I told you guys that one of my beautiful subscribers, Paige, recommended me this book, and I was really excited to read it. Sometimes going into like mystery, thriller, marriage books, I feel a little bit apprehensive just because they tend to all kind of be the same. If you know, you know. But I was a little bit apprehensive and a little bit nervous to start this book just because, I don't know, I just didn't want it to be like anything that I had read before. This book is about Sarah and Adam. Sarah is this very prestigious, highly known, like highly loved lawyer, and Adam is this failed author who's kind of like not a loser, but he's kind of just like waiting around for like his big break to come, but it doesn't seem like it's coming. And he ends up having an affair with a girl named Kelly, and he like makes us like, not makes, but like his wife buys them like a lake house, and she's just always so busy that she never goes there. So Adam goes there to work on writing, but he really is just like inviting Kelly over and like having an affair. And one night Kelly's murdered in their lake house, and Adam was like the last person to be there, and he's like the main suspect. And Adam's confused because, you know, Kelly says that like her husband's abusive, and he had like read abusive texts from him, and just like everything to Adam is pointing to like other people can be involved, but all of the like evidence and like the circumstances are pointing to Adam. So since Sarah is his wife, she decides, you know what, I'm gonna take on your case, even though I probably shouldn't. You're my husband, I'm gonna fight for you, blase, and she ends up being his lawyer and fighting for him. That is all I can tell you. But I will tell you right now, this book was so good. It was not at all what I was expecting. There's so many twists, there's so many other characters and people that join the conversation that you're like, okay, that is definitely there's just like so much, just like not suspense, but action and suspense as well. I guess that could be the correct word. A lot of things happen in this book. A lot of people play a part, and when you think that you have it nailed down to who you think it could be, the author was like, oh, just kidding, like, let's add somebody else, let's add another element of surprise. This book was so good, so good, so good, so good, that I actually wrote a review on GoodReads. Shout out to GoodReads. Follow me if you don't already. I follow back. It's always linked, like my handle's always below in the description box if you want to see what I'm up to, and like vice versa. But anyways, I digress. I wrote a review on this book on GoodReads, and surprisingly, a lot of people did not like this book, because I ended up, after the fact, going through GoodReads and reading some of the comments, and a lot of people did not like this book, which really surprised me. But I just love the writing that the character, the author, not the characters, that the author did in this book. Sometimes with like whodunit kind of books and like suspense and thriller-esque, the author kind of goes back and forth and loops the writing to get to the end, if that like makes sense. But sometimes they'll just kind of repeat the same thing over and over again, and this book did not do that. The author did an amazing job of like the story flowing and the writing being fluid and the characters, and it was just perfect, perfect, perfect. It was like the perfect read. I loved this book. It kept me on the edge of my seat. And something that I wrote about in my review was, I love what the author did, how she wrote Sarah, because sometimes in these kind of stories, the wife can kind of be like, you know, like not a Debbie Downer, but the authors sometimes write, you know, these wives as like, oh, you know, like they deserve to be cheated on, and they're so like lowly and like homely. But Sarah was a bad bitch. She was such a baddie, and I just loved the way the author portrayed her and made her like this baddie lawyer, like wasn't going to, you know, bow down to anybody or surrender her career for the likes of a man. It's so good, you guys. And I thank you so much, Paige, for recommending this read to me. Oh, it was so, so good. Now, we're going to move into the Kindle books that I read. All of these books can be found on Kindle Unlimited, and I decorated my Kindle. The first time I decorated my Kindle, I made a video about it, and I really wanted to do that again. Sorry, I got a frog in my throat, but I didn't know if you guys would enjoy that. So anyways, here she is. I did post a picture of it on Instagram. I'm loving this. I wanted to do like a whole color themed instead of just like getting cute little bookish stickers. But anyways, this is what the new Kindle looks like. I don't know how long I'll keep this on here, but I love it. I just love having a pretty Kindle and like picking her up. The first book that I read was Toasty Inside. This was a winter novella, and it had like 98 pages, I believe. I read it in one day because it was like that short. I believe I saw this on Instagram, and people, or did I see it on Instagram, or was I reading the Amazon reviews? Either way, somewhere they were like, oh, I saw this book on TikTok, and that's why I read it, blah, 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 blah. And I know that it's like way after Christmas, but this book, trigger warning also, because it's very like erotic. There's not trigger warning that because like anything happens, but it is very like erotic. Anyways, this book is about Griffin and Cynthia. Cynthia like goes out, well, she goes home for the holidays, of course, and she ends up going hiking, right? is like an adult toy manufacturer, like creator, and of course that's like what she uses. And I'm kind of embarrassed that I read it. Not that there's like anything against erotic, you know, novellas or anything like that. Like, we're all adults here. It just like was super, super cheesy, very like Kris Kringle cheesy. And like holiday-esque. Like, I don't even know. I mean, I do know because I read it. Unfortunately, it wasn't terrible, but it was very, very cheesy. And yeah. So that was just a short little synopsis about it. Kris Kringle, Santa Claus, turned like sexy kind of vibe. The next book that I read, again, another little novella, which I have like really, really been loving the novellas, was The Exception to the Rule by Christina Lauren. I had seen so much chatter about this online, and I actually think that they had like released several other books at the same time, or like not like little short stories. I still consider novellas books, but anyway, so I saw a lot of good discourse about this little book online, and I was like, you know what, I think I gotta check it out. So The Exception to the Rule, this was 10 out of 10, 5 out of 5, adorable. This is about C and D. I'll say their initials in case you want to read it. This is about C and D, and they are students that go to the same high school, and one night one of them ends up emailing the other on accident from their district ISD email. They meant to email one of the teachers, but it was on Valentine's Day, and every year after that they end up messaging each other on Valentine's Day, and they only talk on Valentine's Day, and it just keeps on going for several like 6 years, I believe. I think it's from like, I don't know, 2015, 16 to 2024, and they just end up emailing each other only on Valentine's Day, and they build this relationship. And the funny thing is, like, they don't know who the other, like, who they are. They never exchange names, or what grade they are in, or what sports they play. And yeah, so they just email each other on Valentine's Day, and they kind of go through the motions. And one year one of them will have a significant other, and vice versa. One year they'll be single, and then because C is older than T, so you know, like, T is graduating high school and then she's going to college, and they never tell each other where they're going to college. And so they're finally like, listen, we've been doing this for so many years, and whenever you're finally, like, if you're ever in the area, or if you're ever back, you know, hit me up, let's meet up. And so they agree, and something ends up happening. And I will say, though, in the end they do end up meeting up. But this was so cute. This was such a cute story. I really have never really read anything like this before, but it was so special, and it was honestly kind of crazy, the like amount of emotions and, you know, like, character development that the authors used when making this story, and like how you felt so deeply. And it was only like 100 pages, was not prepared for this book. It was very good. Let me just start off by saying that. I don't want you to think the book was bad. Yeah, I was not ready for what the author put in this freaking book. It's very, very PG, rated R, whatever is above rated R. This book is that. I will say, please, if you're like interested in checking this book out, check the trigger warnings, because it is a very, very heavy. So Valentina is a adult actress, kind of like an Only Friends kind of girl, and Logan is the head of like his family's mafia crime business, and he's about to have like marry for convenience to expand his empire, and he's not excited about it. And him and his like fiance have decided, like, listen, we're gonna marry for the business, we're both gonna expand the business, but we need to see other people because we have no attraction. And then one night Logan goes online and ends up in Valentina's room, you know what I'm saying, and he watches her and does like a private call with her and falls in, like, not falls for her, but like he's really infatuated by her, and vice versa for Valentina, and more so for her because like he doesn't show his face or anything. It's like chest down, okay? And at Logan's engagement party, come to find out Valentina is the cousin of his fiance. And he's like, in his head, he's like, I know that we agreed to see other people, but I just, like, with good conscience can't be seeing her cousin on the side, which is kind of funny because it's like, bro, you're literally in a mafia, so I know that you do a lot of things that aren't in like good conscience, you know what I mean? Anyways, so they just end up becoming obsessed with each other, but he's like, no, and she's like, yes, like one time is all I need with you to like get you out of my system. And they end up going to like this castle that's like used for like orgy, like sex parties or whatever. I told you it was like very rated R, and they're just playing cat and mouse with each other pretty much. And once he has like a taste, he just can't go back, and now he like wants to get out of the marriage, and they're like, no, you can't get out of the marriage, we'll literally kill you and your family. So decisions have to be made, and decisions were made all right. It definitely was probably one of the most insane things that I've ever read, but if you are into stuff like that, I definitely would recommend it. But like I said, you really need to check the trigger warnings. I didn't remember, like, I know that I like bought it on Kindle Day or whatever, but the description you get is like totally a rose-colored version of like what the book actually is. But the plot was amazing, the character development, the writing was so good. It was super spicy, like it was so spicy. But you know, sometimes when you read a spicy book, like it lacks everywhere else because like the spice is like so intense, but the spice is off the freaking charts. But the like writing didn't lack, which I loved so much, and to me it was a 5 out of 5. It was really honestly a good book. There just were a few parts where I had to like put my Kindle face down and take a minute to like think like, what the heck did I just read? What the heck did I just read? Because I was a first, you know what I'm saying?